Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, where in today's video I'm going to be taking a look at yet another German helicopter tech tree devlog, where today we're looking at something I didn't expect actually. This is the actual first helicopter in the tech tree. I expected it was going to be one of the BO-105s which we looked at in yesterday's video, but it turns out there was actually going to be an even earlier helicopter in the German tech tree, that being the SA.313B, which is also called actually the Alouette 2, which was actually a French helicopter. This was built in France, used by the French military, but it was exported quite a bit. Over 1,300 of these helis were built, so it is actually a very popular helicopter, and it was used by the French military, the Swiss military, the German military, Tunisia, Turkey, Austria, lots and lots of countries really. So it is a very popular helicopter. And it could be used by actually a few other countries in the game. The United Kingdom used them, the Army Air Corps. So this could be in many other tech trees. It's in the German one. It's a French heli, so it is natural to expect that this will actually be the French sort of reserve level type helicopter on the French tech tree. So I would say we're definitely going to be getting it with the French, but it is a possibility with the United Kingdom, with the Army Air Corps, to be getting this also in the British helicopter tech tree. But we'll start off by looking through the devlog itself, and then we'll look into the history of this vehicle. So we'll look at the history briefly. So this was first flown in the late 1950s, brought into service in the 60s, and it was, as with the BO-105 helicopter line, these were widely used by both civilian uses and military uses. Fought in many wars, many notable wars, and small local conflicts as well, and it was used especially by some smaller African nations, used a lot in smaller local civil war conflict type things. And, you know, it's an interesting helicopter. So it will be the first, as I said, the first air vehicle of the German helicopter tree. It's a light helicopter, and it is mostly just structural frame. I really do love the design of this helicopter. If anyone has seen the movie Where Eagles Dare, it's a sort of World War II film about basically a group of Allied soldiers that need to rescue someone from this German castle in World War II. There was a helicopter similar to this that looks very similar in that movie, and I was thinking that it just reminded me of that. I really like the design of old helis where it's all lots of frame and those sort of things. So personally, to me, I really like the looks. Other people might not, but that's just my personal sort of thoughts. But it's got a single turboshaft engine, very similar to the Huey actually, and it produces, well, it says in the devlog, it says slightly over 400 horsepower. It's actually 460 horsepower, so I wouldn't exactly say slightly over, but you know, their wording's up to them. And it says it can get the vehicle up to 180 kilometers an hour. That isn't actually that fast for a helicopter, but you know, it's I would compare it to the Mi-4. It's slow. But unlike the Mi-4, it has more than one gun, which is definitely a major positive there. I would compare it to the Huey. The Huey doesn't have fixed guns, obviously. It has interchangeable guns. This looks to have fixed guns, so that's a positive. But it's light construction and low speed. It doesn't actually prevent this from being a serious threat to ground vehicles. So, as they've said, pilots will spend their first battles in this with the machine guns and unguided rockets. So as you can see on the actual skids, you have got 4 machine guns mounted, I believe. Looks to be 2 on each side. I will double check that though. No, it's 2 of them, by the looks of it. So yeah, you've got 2 guns, I believe they're machine guns, and also unguided rockets, which are going to be the 37mm SNEB rockets. If you look, they're on rocket pods, and they're decent. We've seen them before in game on aircraft, and they are fairly decent rockets, so you can use them. But then once you move along, you will be able to get access to the SS11 ATGMs, which it looks like it can mount 4 of. They, of course, are fairly well known in the game. They're on the AMX-13, SS11, and a few other vehicles, so they are a fairly popular ATGM for sure. But yeah, so the machine guns on this though, it is 4 actually. It's 4 7.62mm MG3 light machine guns placed on the skids. They are fixed. They're not. They can't turn. They're fixed guns. Very similar actually to when you put guns on the Huey. Not so much the XM30 turrets, but the fixed miniguns or those sort of things. They're fixed in a straight line. You have to aim the heli like an aircraft. The ATGMs are quite good as well. I think ATGMs are going to be a good long-range air-to-air weapon, whereas guns are close range. This being a slower heli with a lighter construction, you're probably going to want to stay at long range. You're not going to want to go in too close to the enemy helicopters with better guns. For example, if you go up against Hueys and stuff, if you try and fight enemy helicopters with, for example, 20mm miniguns, 7.62mm miniguns, they will rip you to shreds. I think it's pretty easy to see that from looking at this helicopter. So you're going to want to stay at long range and use the 4 ATGMs, which is definitely enough to get a few kills from long range to try and take out those enemy targets without getting yourself killed, which would definitely be, I believe, the preferred method of fighting for most people. So looking a bit into the history of this, it was actually first flown in 1955 and was introduced into the French military on the 2nd of May 1957. Of course, the German was a bit after. They were produced, though, from 1956 all the way to 1975, so it is a very popular helicopter, and it is actually still in service. Still in service with quite a few people. There were 1,300 plus of them built. Now, it was, of course, developed then into the Alouette 3, which we could possibly see in the French military. All of the helicopters we've been showing so far in devlogs for the German tree, the BO-105, so the 3 of them, and this are all Tier 5s. So that's 4 Tier 5 helicopters. I don't think we're going to get any other Tier 5s for the Germans anytime soon. So I would presume that the Alouette 3 will not be added until possibly the French tech tree. But it is interesting, this helicopter as a whole. It's been like with the BO-105s, the German military chooses a helicopter which isn't a specialist-built attack helicopter. It is a multi-role helicopter used by civilian causes and by military. Looking a bit more at the stats of this helicopter, so of course you've got the power plant, one Alouette 2 C6 turboshaft. So it's got the D-rated, it starts off with 530 horsepower from the actual gas turbine, and then that's lowered down for the rotor to 460 horsepower. This can carry 4 people. It's a 4-person helicopter, although I suppose in-game, looking at the video on the devlog, you're just going to have the gunner or missile controller and the pilot, as with most other attack helicopters. Quite a small helicopter. It's only about 9.6 meters long. Or 31 feet basically, but the rotor diameter of the whole rotor is about 10 meters or 33 feet, so it's not, it's small compared to stuff like the Hind and that. It's a small light helicopter. I wouldn't say, I am surprised how slow it is actually, but I suppose it has got a small engine, of course. But the top speed is actually 185 kilometers an hour. That's 115 miles an hour, so you know, sort of slower than a lot of cars. It's not exactly high speed. The service ceiling's only about 7,000 feet or 2,300 meters, and the rate of climb is only 4.2 meters per second, or if you want to do it in feet, 820 feet per minute. So not a huge amount there. It is an interesting addition, does shed a bit of light on what we will probably be seeing for the French helicopter tech tree when that's added, where this will also most likely be one of the vehicles in that tech tree. As I said with the playstyle, you're likely only going to be wanting to play it as a long-range engaging aircraft, using the ATGMs against enemy helicopters rather than close range due to the weakness of the actual structure of the helicopter. Of course, early on when you just have the under-guided rockets and the machine guns, you might have to do close range. What I would do to get to the ATGMs though is ground pound, get some RP, and then move on to the ATGMs, and then you can do helicopter v helicopter. Anyway, though, so pretty interesting looking helicopter, definitely something I am interested in. I'm going to be making videos, of course, on it, probably on the dev server, at least, even if I don't do it on the dev server, after the update's released, I will be doing gameplay videos in this helicopter, so look out for that. But there we go, so the SA.313B, the Alouette 2, overall interesting addition to the game, I will say, but thanks a lot for watching the video. If you did enjoy, please consider leaving a like, maybe even subscribe to the channel. If you do, that would be massively appreciated. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.